it's about lion and a sheep.
Yeah, they're supposed to, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a lion, but sometimes the lion is watching, the sheep programming is acting.
Yeah.
And how you do with this? I mean, you can say yourself, I'm a lion, but then you watch and this is a sheep.
Well, exactly, because the programming is of sheep.
Yeah.
Yet what's seeing or fueling the program is of lion.
Okay.
Yeah, so when whatever you're seeing from lion.
Yeah.
Usually you're not seeing the sheeping, your state. Let's say if you were sort of like a camera,
Okay.
yeah, and here's the light,
Okay.
and then there's the camera, there's a distance, so
Yeah.
you're losing the sense of being the light by where the light goes through the camera, where the camera is positioned, and the camera is positioned after but saying it's before, so you're always seeing it from lion.
Yeah.
You've never not seen anything from lion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
But
subject.
Yeah, does the sheep programming change in time?
Maybe, maybe not. It's not essential. There's just a loss of interest in it. Yeah. In other words, it's not sheep all the time, 24 hours. Yeah. Though the broadcasts are still coming in, there's a disinterested listener, so to speak, or listening. Yeah, you lose a little interest in it because it's not about you. That's the key. Yeah. The key of what binds us to the idea, this is just humbly how, I've seen it. Yeah. This idea of cherishing in Buddhism, the cherishing of self, it's sort of, the bonding idea is that it's you. So what you're listening to is about you. And that's where it keeps the interest. Yeah, because when you realize something, we use the example all the time of if we were sitting here at a meeting and there was another meeting over there, and I was interested in a person in the other meeting because I have hopes I'm gonna have babies with her or whatever. I would probably, in a sense, not be here because my interest would be listening to her to see if she says, hey, I like the guy who's leading that meeting in the other room. Yeah, because that would give me an advantage because I don't want to get rejected flat out. So I want to have a little inside info to say, oh, hey, would you like to have a cup of coffee or whatever? Yeah. So I would be in there, and then you could tell me, hey, you're here and all this shit, but it wouldn't matter. That priority would be listening to her. Yeah. This is what doesn't work. When people say, okay, just be here and this and that. There's things going on that you don't have power over. You're not like the sheep herder, yeah? The sheep are fucking running the show in a sense. So you're listening to her and people are going, hey, why aren't you here? And you're going, yeah, you get it. You get the principle, but you're more interested there, or the mind is, yeah? And then someone brings a book up and says, why don't you read this? How to lose interest in a conversation in the other room. And you understand the principle, but it doesn't seem to matter because in a sense, that which wants to get in and out isn't you, so you're powerless. And then suddenly the lady finally says something about somebody, and it's not about you. And she says, hey, I like Matt. I'd like to meet Matt. What happens? I lose interest, or there's a loss of interest in that conversation in the other room, and it boomerangs right back. I don't have to send like a Navy SEAL 6 team to get the interest. It just leaves because it's not about me. The same thing is applying here. Yeah, you lose interest in it, in the you, because it's not you. Basically, it's not like you got to drag it away. There's just a migration of interest because the whole thing is based on the idea that it's all about you. Yeah, so you don't go through all of the all about. You just go to the you. If it isn't you, there's going to be a loss of interest, and that interest. But it's a loss of interest in that. You don't lose interest. The interest goes somewhere else, and maybe then it starts enriching your day instead of enslaving your day, because in a way, the occupation with the sheep, yes, is of time, is of this, can be attacked, all this stuff that they speak about in other books, yes? And so the sheep trying not to be a sheep is just a fundamental mistake, duplicating. Yeah, and that's why people who share this, it's important, I feel, to point that out, because the sheep is going to duplicate itself and call itself, you know, it will, when it gets whacked by the lionhood, it will turn it into an experience the sheep had. It'll keep neutering the message. Not purposely, it's just the programming. You put any information in, the priority of the programming is it's all about sheep. So, recognition of your true nature, sheep, yeah? It always gets, it's put under the priority of sheep, yeah? So that's the whole point, is to see, not to have that change, but just to see it and tell the truth about it. And then it changes, because it's not about you. And then the interest and attention moves. And now that interest and attention sort of gets you noticing things you didn't notice before, and it changes things, yeah? And you're not the changer of it, yeah? You are the expressor, expressing the change and observing the change. So you can be brought to a conclusion, not by your thought or effort, but by the shifting of interest and attention, and self can't get out of self. So if the sheep gets interested in not being a sheep, that's more sheep. This is the fundamental, like, flaw, F-L-A-W, of spiritual seeking, because there's not many warnings on the spiritual seeking box, yeah? We people just start with, oh yes, I have a desire, a willingness to find myself, and being, warning, okay, what you're gonna find is self. Yeah.
More sheep.
Yeah, yes, you're gonna find, so, and I think it's pretty damn inevitable, unless, you know, the earth cracks open and you're the new Messiah or something. Basically, you're going to leave the water hole after recognizing or having that flash, like thief in the night type thing, where you saw your original face, which isn't a face, and it's definitely not a sheep face. When you walk away, the programming kicks in, and it takes that and just inoculates it back into the system. And now that revelation of your true nature is an experience the sheep had. And now it may run after that experience again. Yeah? So then the revelation of your nature now is being used to promote the seeking and the slavery still. I didn't know that until I saw it. And then when I was reading different people who wrote about Ramana's presentations, there was a commonality in all of them, and this idea of this non-existent thing being presupposed to be existing, and then wanting to get salvation for itself, and therefore its spiritual practices are reinforcing the non-existent thing. How can they destroy it? Was said in many ways, and was always prefaced with the problem or the greatest mystery. So that means there was an emphasis there. It's a very important point. It's a point in time that comes, before the pointlessness of no time. There's a conceiving of a sheep, that will override in time the nature of a lion. And it will turn the nature of a lion not as a revelation, but as an experience the sheep had. And then the sheep will now start searching to have more lion experiences, with the hopes of maybe if I have enough lion experiences, I'll become a lion. But you'll become a lion as a sheep. Yeah? The sheep will always be the basis. So you'll be walking around with curly little hair and and, having, translating it as a raw and a giant mane. You know what I mean? And then everyone else is lying. So you're looking in the mirror, there's just curly cues and just but it's, wow, I'm a lion, but as a sheep. Yeah. So we're just looking at the tail that's put on everything. Yeah. Because the tail wags the dog in this case. Yeah. this tale of being a sheep, the programming. That's why I like that movie Moon and stuff, because the clone gets complete revelation that it's a clone, but everything that any news that's ever broke in or comes into the system is greeted with the human programming. So it has complete evidence it's not a human, but it's holding it or reacting to that as a human. That's the programming, yes? So the clone, in that movie, there's thousands of the same looking dude. Yeah, and this whole story about being a Red Sox fan and having 2 kids on Earth, it's all baloney. It was programming. Yet, total evidence that's true. He still has the sense of it, of being that guy from Boston. Yeah. So, if you're waiting for that to change, it may not change because it's not necessary. You're not doing it, first of all. This is the thing I run into quite a lot. Because obviously, let's say what they say in the Course in Miracles about this belief that's the basis of all the guilt, which is we separated from God. Really, if you did that, do you really want to know that all day? Seriously? Do you want to go to a meeting and hear about love and all this, and then your day doesn't go that way, and you're the center of that day, and you're like, wow, I'm not producing much love and peace and harmony. It looks like it's totally fucked up here. I have something to do with that. Who wants to have that revealed every day? This is what addiction is. I want to avoid it. Like if in addiction, if my right arm was bleeding, I just look left. Just fucking look left all day. You're shooting up, you just roll down the sleeve as if it hit it, and then the blood would come out of the white shirt. You thought you had it covered. You looked, everyone could see it. It's fucking insane. Yeah. Oh, that's it. Just look the other way. Yeah. Who wants to hear the news? Yeah. That everything is love, and your experience is it isn't. You're gonna write yourself into somehow being the cause of that. Who wants to hear that every day? Who wants to hear that I've separated from the Godhead? Of course I'm gonna try to distract myself. Yeah, shit, yeah. I mean, I'll watch Die Hard 12. I'll just watch shit that I'm not even enjoying just to avoid, that moment of judgment. So, yeah, you're not. The information is taken in by the brain to support the body idea. So how can you trust that channel? Literally, how you can trust the channel to do that. Yeah? So like it says, who would suspect and who would we do? Because now something has been revealed. So it's time to be suspicious. Yeah? The brain is going to keep interpreting to the body. That's what it does. What are you going to change that as the brain? Yeah, self can't get out of self. It's one of the most profound statements anywhere coming out of recovery. And it wasn't written in a book. It was a recognition of or an observation of a lot of people trying to do just that. They were trying to get out of me as a me, and they realized you can't do it. Now, why we can't do it? Because we're not in a me, really. I didn't see that. Yeah, because of course, when you look at other people, you exempt yourself from the lessons they show. But I'm going to be different. I'm going to be the first me that gets out of me. Yeah, I found the perfect. Yes, I see it all the time when you're sharing about spiritual addiction. The person who's flat out right in it at that moment thinks they're not. And they go, well, can you elucidate what you're talking about? Yeah, this right now. The person's been there for a week listening to 16 people with 60 other people all day and all night. Oh, can you talk more about spiritual addiction? You're the fucking living example in the book right now. So it escapes us, yes, from this locality. Because it causes us to be exempt from anything, really. We think, oh, yeah, it's just them. No. If you do the same shit they do, you're probably going to end up in the same place. Yeah. So self can't get out of self. That's why, in a way, we try to really steer clear of futility, yet futility is the rude awakening. To realize it's futile, like they used to say in the Star Trek with the Borg or whatever, resistance is futile. Just let us absorb you. Well, we've been absorbed by the Borg already. We're not even in a point of choosing. Yeah, and the resistance is futile. Yeah, it is. Yeah, but see, the beautiful thing truly is, in some incomprehensible way, we're not of all this. Yeah. There is like a back door. Yeah. There is a gateless gate. There is an open secret amongst it all. There is. I feel it. Yeah. I sense it. I always have since I was a kid. Yeah. There is a way out, and the way out is not being in. Yeah. It's the only way for me, I think. You just see that which is in, wanting to get out, isn't you. And so there's a loss of interest in all those pursuits. And then you get interested in other stuff that may be much more enriching to the experience than that constant obsessive seeking to get out of self or to get into something else. Yeah. Maybe your life will be, or the day will just be much more rewarding when you're trying to, instead of trying to soak out the value out of it. I've got to be mindful. That to me is totally insane. How can mind be more mindful than it is? It's like trying to use mind to be mind when you are mind. Yeah, it just drives me crazy. Really. I'm mindful. It's like taking the sun and just getting one ray of it. Instead of just getting blasted by the whole sun, one way. Yeah. So, yeah, the sheep continues, but they're definitely, its influence in your company will diminish. Yeah, it won't be running the product line. Yeah, won't be manufacturing misery and being right and all this shit. New shit will be manufactured. You'll have new experiences, new expressions. Yes? Yeah, and you might find that it just seems a whole lot lighter and a less sticky than the other way. Yeah. Yeah. To me, it's all interest and attention, and you can't direct it, really. Yeah? You can think whatever you want, but there's something else that's the turret. It is the turret of the lighthouse. You're not the lighthouse man. You're not directing the light. The head is reacting to the light being directed. Yeah? Yeah. You're not up there, all right? You're not. You're running, the mental state's running with living and writing a story about it. It's just trying to catch up with what happens. Oh, all right, what did I do to get here? It's just on and on and on. Yeah, it's exhausting. It always has to have a reason, and it's usually fucking wrong. Yeah. So there's a statement that people in the Course, I'm pretty sure the statement is in there. Your greatest successes are your biggest failures, and your biggest failures are your greatest successes. Or, you're never upset for the reason you think. Yeah? But the head goes on and on about the reason why you're upset, doesn't it? Yeah. So to me, the sheeping goes on. And then maybe instead of, there's a lot of comedy in the sheeping. Yeah, there's a lot of Monty Python moments and others, and it's hilarious. And you can laugh at it, yeah, and you can laugh with people about it. It's funny. Yeah, it's funny because you can be assured of it's doing the same thing over and over again. It just doesn't get a lot of stuff. Yeah. If one vehicle doesn't work in searching, it will just think, I'm just not in the right vehicle. It doesn't see the searching is the dilemma. It just switches from Buddhism to this, or now neo non-duality and Advaita and all this. It's all, yes? Yeah. There's no vehicle that works, really. So this sense in our life with self in recovery, self runs into a wall, just finds another car, runs into the wall. All right, let's mix Buddhism with Tantra yoga, runs into a wall. It just keeps, it doesn't see that it being the primary number one is what throws off the whole mathematics. It just doesn't see that the primary number is 0. Yeah, it just keeps inserting 1 in different fucking mathematical fucking convoluted systems, but the 1 is like a big fucking thumb sticking out, and we can't get around it. It's like you hear the party's great, when you get there it sucks. It's just the way it goes. So yeah, the sheep programming is what's reporting and informing and shit like that. What you are doesn't say anything really during the day. It does, it speaks very loud in one level, but it doesn't say anything. I mean, the sky doesn't, have an opinion of the clouds, I don't think. Really. They don't get stopped and checked out and then, okay, come on in. It's spacious, and anything that can appear will appear in the sky, and you can bet that everything that does appear is going to disappear. It's going to move. Yeah. Yet the sky seems not to come or go. Yeah, doesn't that give you a sense of precedent? How do you say that word? Something that precedes everything else? Yes. Yeah, so obviously the essential would precede the non-essential. So the idea of being the seer is non-essential to the seeing. Yet to the seer, it's completely essential, the seeing. I mean, it's so extreme, you can't miss it. So don't you really, you don't need those tiny examples. You get the fundamental flow. Yeah. So if you get a sense, like in lesson 2 in the Course in Miracles, there's obviously you get a sense of the seeing before the seeing, because when you're looking at a table, it doesn't see it to be anything, and then suddenly it's a table. So you get this, you get the right cadence. Yeah. You get the seeing, and then something appears. But most of us, it's the emphasis is on the appearance and the other appearance that's seeing it. So the seeing gets unemphasized because the poles of it, see or seeing, get emphasized. What, isn't that important to see? Notice it explains a whole lot. Yeah. You don't have to go into great detail. You hear it, and then you'll feel it. You'll see it in your own life. There's an emphasis already prepackaged, yeah, to move away from the verbing and to move towards the nouns. Yeah, so the seer seen gets more emphasized than the seeing in the sheep world. It does. In the lion world, the seeing, yeah, is emphasized. The hearing, the feeling, that all the ing gets emphasized in the lion world. This is just an imagery. And in the sheep world, it's the er, the seer, the doer, the feeler. The er gets emphasized. It's good to know. So you're not so surprised when it keeps doing it. Yeah? So you realize, okay, the sheep, its whole engine is to leave from and go back to the ER, the emergency room, in a way. The doer, the hearer, the feeler, the taster, the toucher. The other aspect is flowing, like a mural in the ing, yeah? So there can be an appearance of frames, but there isn't a single picture. It just goes, yeah? And maybe after a while you'll feel that's a lot more appropriate, that interpretation, than the other one, I mean, if you look at a biography, all right, he was born this or that, and he did this or that, and now he's living in this place, yeah? Or you feel you're giving everything all the meaning it has. I would say the second description is much more intimate than the two-dimensional description of Paul's life. Don't you feel it? Yeah. So, yep.
So I'm thinking like, if the Chief's programming is so convincing that you're it, that we get so lost in it because it's running and transforming everything to itself all the time, like.
But let me jump in there. It's not convincing. It's habitual.
Yeah. Okay. But
It's not really
it's doing
convincing.
a good job of fooling us, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't think that's its case. I don't think it has an intention of fooling us. It's just doing what it's doing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But let's say that. So I'm curious, like, why doesn't the lion roar at the sheep, like more like why is the lion just? I mean, the course says that we are dreaming. Basically, we are the Son of God dreaming, and the reason God is not intervening is because God knows it's not real. Like
Yeah.
So is that the reason why the lion doesn't roar? That the lion knows
Probably. But I don't like the whys of things. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know really what's going on. I don't. Because if I did, it wouldn't change anything anyway. You're not going to get a newfound power because you're still under it. The sheeping's going to arise.
And the answer to why comes from the sheep programming anyway.
Well, yes, mostly. But questions are good because they trigger stuff. But again, yeah. See, a lot of times we believe if we had the knowledge, it would change everything. You get to a point that you realize there's no necessity to change anything. Yeah, it's just good to see like what ball comes first, then what ball comes later. Because if you live based on the later ball being first, things could be confusing. Yeah, and maybe it just increases heaviness and confusion and shit. And you realize you can't get out of the heavy ball as the heavy ball. So the way to get out is not in, which doesn't demonstrate much thought or effort. Yeah. If your escape from a situation is that you're not in it, you're not going to be huffing and puffing as you're climbing out. Yeah, because it's got a different reaction than, oh, I'm in this hole and it's 2,300 feet. I start climbing. Yeah. But when you realize the whole drama is different when you realize you're not in the hole. So then you see the head wanting to get out, but you're not packing up your backpack and getting your canteen filled because you're not in the hole. Just like you have a house when you go to work, if you have a house. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you stay at work overtime. It's not going to convince you. It's not about time. There's knowledges that aren't shifted by time. Yeah. And that knowledge of your inherent condition is one of those. Yeah. So you can be at work or in this world all day, and yet there's still a sense of being home. Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't get erased. Yeah. All right, I feel like I have a home at 1:30, 3, get the coffee break at 3:30. It's getting a little, I don't know, do I have a home or not? And then 5, by 6, I don't have a home. Yeah, because I'm here. And by 8, I'm completely homeless. Yeah. No, it doesn't, on this knowledge, it doesn't do that. It's not a knowledge that you lose or forget. You can seemingly forget by being up the ass of the selfing, but it's never forgotten. Yeah? So it's like a knowledge before knowledge. You got a home. Yeah? No matter how out there, yeah, you think like you've run out of line, you'll never be able to be reeled back. It's not true. Yeah? So that's the sense of the message. It's like the personal presence doesn't have to keep chanting, it's the impersonal presence. It knows it. While the personal presence, as Ramesh was talking about, does its thing. Yeah? There's like a deeper assurance that doesn't need reinforcement by things because you just know. Yeah, just like when I was sitting in that fucking rug emporium, I knew I was not going to buy a rug. They could have kept me there for 4 weeks. Yeah. I would have drank a lot of their apple juice and shit, and I still wouldn't have been a deal. I wouldn't leave with a receipt because there was no fucking way I'm gonna have a rug going to Thailand in a backpack. It's just no way. And I didn't even have a house. See, I was doing the opposite. I didn't have any place to live. I was just left fucking Sydney and went on a round the world thing, and I didn't have a residence. So, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy a rug now for a future residence while I'm trucking through Thailand. What's in the bag? Some food? No, a rug. I got this fucking super heavy rug. I got caught in the monsoon, and now it's about 400 pounds. But it's my rug, and I'm gonna have a flaw. You know what I mean? It was just no way you're gonna convince me. You know? Yeah? Don't you know that's there? Something is there before all the acquiring of knowledge. Something knows things that it's not gonna unknow. Yeah? It can. Oh, everything here is seemingly so. Do you think you've actually forgotten yourself, what you are? No. You seem to have forgotten what you are. That's what dreaming is. Dreaming substantially doesn't change shit, does it? When you wake up in the morning, that dream, no matter how effective or whatever, ultimately your bed isn't in the kitchen. It ultimately hasn't done anything, really. Yeah? It seems to do a lot when you're engaged in it, obviously. And then when you're not, it doesn't, you wake up. Yeah, well, yeah. I hope this is like the closest thing in AA would be being convinced. So being convinced is something that didn't seem to be applicable is finally super clear, that you're powerless over alcohol and drugs, so it's best not to gamble and insert anything or drink anything because you don't know what's going to happen. So you can be convinced of the uncertainty of things just as much as the certainty of things, yeah? So you're completely convinced that, hey, and that I'm not managerial quality. You've seen that whatever was running a show through you was a failed mechanism, yeah? And that it couldn't learn, and you learned a lot from the defeats, yeah? And hopefully the whole basis of true recovery is the first step has to be perfect. You've got to be clear that you're fucked and that you're not going to get yourself out of the situation. So finally, you're willing to leave that boat that's sinking with the hope, and then it turns into fact that some other boat's going to come by and save you. Yeah? So it seems like when you're relying on your head, even though the boat's burning and shit, you think that's the only boat you got, and you keep trying to, and it's inevitable you're going under, but there seems to be in your head no other option. You lose faith in that, and then you jump. And then there's something there that gets you. And then hopefully that leaves a big impression, so you start getting into the habit of showing up, and then you see that you can face life successfully because you're actually showing up, yeah? Where before you were just always in the pre-stages and the forecast and the outcomes of shit, which you had no idea, but you believed, this isn't gonna work, I'm not going to Italy, whatever. Now something has opened up where you're willing to show up and then actually see what happens instead of rely on something that doesn't see shit. It just tells you, this ain't gonna work, yeah? No, you now reveal it. Hey, I'm not believing this shit anymore, show me. And then the curtain moves and you see the little Wizard of Oz as a fucking powerless little impotent activity. It needs you and your belief in it for it to do its thing, yeah? That gets withdrawn. And in recovery, it gets put into an idea of a higher power. I would say you're as much as the higher power as anything else. Yeah? Yeah. So yes, there's knowledge in you already. The head is about acquiring knowledge, having knowledge, but there's knowledge underneath it all. Yeah? And sometimes it takes a rough life to get to certain parts, about the action figure, which is you're unmanageable. Yeah. And if you drink, it shit could go. That's why I love abstinence. I don't think about drugs or alcohol at all. The most enticing companions for the drink, I have no interest in the drink, nor those enticing things that come with it. That's not something that I learned. I was placed in that position of neutrality. Something brought me there and put me there. I don't know what it is, let's call it grace, but something did, because I definitely could not do it, nor could anyone who wanted to do it where I was could do. Yeah. I mean, how much more revelation do you need? I think an addict life that comes out of the addiction, there shouldn't be any doubting Thomases there, really, because it's clear something's done for you what you couldn't do for yourself. And my mother, I mean, she had the whole fucking church praying for me. You don't know how many St. Jude and St. Christopher medals and little prayer things she sent to me.
It works.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yep. That's all I have to give, because who would want to ruin your experiencing life in a fresh, revelatory way? I don't want to forecast how it's going to be. I just want to talk about how it mentally is, so you recognize that it's not you. Yeah? To some level or not, it doesn't really matter, because it's all going to provoke a lightness. And if you stop listening to the head, you'll see the miracles, because the head will forget 1.5 hours. And it will just absorb itself in a seeming resentment for 40 years. You got to recognize it's leaning a certain way, and it's not in your direction. It's not in you being happy, joyous, and free. It isn't. It's just, and it's, you can't blame the snake. It's a snake. Yeah? I don't, I'm sure the candida would like the host to be okay, but its drive overrides the host's okayness. It's going to get it to eat pastry because it needs that sugar. Yeah? I'm sure the fucking, cordyceps doesn't have any opinion about the ant, but it's got a driving thing that it has to use that ant to do what it wants to do. I'm sure whatever the mental state's doing, I think it's like HAL in 2001. The programming got oversized, It canceled the mission and took it over without informing anyone. And Hal's not listening to us. Hal, turn left. No. Hal, change the temperature. No. Hal, what are you doing? Hal, open this door. And the person's out. Get in. Hal's not budging. I mean, it's all in movies. You can see it all in movies. You can. We're like, the art of our world is really the prophet part, because it, like science fiction has told, if you read earlier science fiction, everything that's going on now was foretold by these folks. They didn't know they were prophets. They just got moved to right, but it's all in there. Yeah. So, any other questions? Yep.
I have a question about losing interest, because for quite some years I applied a lot of skillful means to the body and mind, and it helped feel much better. But I'm often wondering, how much interest does it need still? The body and the mind, because you're often pointing to you're losing interest. But applying this,
I'm not losing interest in the body and the mind as a physical maintenance or a mental balance. I'm losing interest in the idea of you're the doer of it all, and the thinker of it all, and the seer of it all, and the hearer of it all. That you're a defined thing, yeah? Yes? That is solid and that is causal. that all the effects that are happening are caused by you. This sense of ownership, that's what we're questioning. This isn't about starving the body or anything like that. It's about just seeing the add-on to the doing. Yeah? It's like someone said, this isn't about stopping doing, it's about using whatever doing occurs to see if there's a doer. Because it's a beautiful invitation. The invitation to get a sense of what you are by seeing what you're not is always happening. Because everything that's going on is what you're not. I mean, you couldn't have a better, more consistent, reliable message, because what you're not is all that you can see. So basically, it's a perfect message, yeah? If you can get the little flavor of it. Yeah, so this isn't about interest in body, mind, or whatever like that. You got to have, for maintenance, you have to have it, in a sense, yes? It's like, I'm not a Toyota, but I take care of the Toyota, because the Toyota gets me places I can't get to. So I have a lot of honor for the Toyota. That's why I like Toyotas. They're reliable. Really. The biggest thing I have about a car would be reliability in most cases, because I just want to have a sense of assuredness that it's going to get me there. Yeah? Yeah. So
there's a loss of interest in the specialness, in the separation, the wish to be separate.
of course, well, but see, the doer proclaims separation, yeah, because all the doing that comes through you, it's only tagged by one doer. You don't believe there's 30 of you doing today, do you? So all the doing, all the activities that are living are being used to imply there's one that somehow is doing all those activities. That's where we're questioning, is if there is a one. Because that one produces a myopicness, yeah? It triggers a lot of stuff we're not really aware of that seem to take away some quality or a lot of quality of our living, yeah? And instead of going through everything, just see that and see what happens, yeah? It's not like you stop doing shit. It's you realize you've never been the doer of it, really, which is different, yeah? Yeah, yeah. So skillful means are great, but I love when you don't have to use them. It's nice knowledge, but I love knowledge that doesn't need to be applied. Really, I do. I mean, we had some of the prayers in recovery, serenity prayer is a famous one, you know. Please give me the courage to change the things I can, and the serenity to accept what I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. I would say that quite a lot in the beginning. I don't say it anymore. So therefore, something was outgrown that when I was seemingly in that, I needed a lot of skillful means. When I grew out of it, the skillful means weren't applicable as much. Yeah? Yeah. I like that level. Yeah, because who wants to have like a fucking tool belt that you have to wear all day with skillful means, you know? I'd much rather, it would be sort of uncomfortable, yeah? I like that, just free range, so to speak. Yeah, yeah. Loss of interest, the reason why is because there's an inordinate amount of interest being put into the mental object. There is. It's drenched with it. And it doesn't do well with that much anyway. If you are all that is thought about, people get fucking flipped out. If you look at people's eyes for a few minutes, they're moving everywhere. It's just fucking, we're in an asylum. I mean, but we're really certified the insane, a lot of people. You just sit with them for 5 minutes, or you're sitting there, they're okay here underneath their feet. It's just fucking going. That system is totally flipped out. They're like this. They're at I saw an interview once for a job, I thought, at this place, and the lady was dressed very nice, and the guy, but her feet were The anxiety was unbelievable. It was like a huge tap dance, and she was trying to look very, just totally insane. You stand there with somebody, you just watch their eye. It's like, whoa, you know, you're like, oh. You try to move farther away. I've been watching your videos for 15 hours straight. Wait a minute. Oh, they got the family locked out. I've been spent $1 million. I've got to get it. And the kids are asking, Mom, she's got the door locked. She's on the Zoom. What should I do? What should I do? Go say hello to your kids. I don't have time for that. I've been up all night watching videos. I mean, you see, it goes a little too far, don't you feel? It gets crazy, easy. And then the power of name and form. You know, what did they start with when they start with psychiatry? They named like 8 mental illnesses. Now there's 850 or something. It just we're like an exotic flower in an insane garden. You know, they're studying fucking weird phobias and shit. It's like the fucking mutated head getting so much attention and interest is just growing fucking weird shit out of it. It is. You know, I used to, you know, I'd be with somebody and I'd go, hey, good night. And, you know, I was just going to go watch TV and go to sleep. They call me from the Richmond police station. I said, what did you do? You can't believe what I did. What the fuck? I mean, he looked just okay, but there was something waiting, gnawing. As soon as he got out of, whoa, he said, car's abandoned. He's fucking, you know, and he's like a scientist at a laboratory. He's fucking in jail, you know, just mutating. It's insane shit. Tons of interest and attention, fucking all day. It's not good. It's meant to be moving through. It's not meant to hit. Light, yeah, it's like light hits, yeah, and then hopefully goes through, like everything in appearance has like a cloud-like disposition. It's, if you're really close, there's not much really there. A lot of shit can come through. And the same thing with us, but with this idea of Paul, it's like a happy face, like a huge billboard, and everything just goes, hits that, you know? So there's no circulation. It's all about me. All about it, me. You know what I mean? So it bounces off and it gets weird. It does. It's like a screen with too many dimples from things hitting it. It's fucking the movie, but underneath it's like the Joker smile on it. It's just totally insane. I swear. It's scary in a way. If you just look at people for longer than 10 seconds, there's some of them are really, their heads are just fucking like, drilling a hole in a hole in a hole. Yeah. Need to have dispersion, like relaxed awareness. Yeah? Like spacious, just focusing and concentrating. Just really, that concentration really magnifies this. Yeah? It's almost as if the head is looking at everything as a surface it can get its reflection off of. So it makes things really important because it sees an image of itself. So it has to have that drama. It has to have shit to get a hit, so to speak, like an addict. Yeah. That, I feel, you can't disperse it. It gets more focused when you try, you know. You ever see someone who's totally flipped out? I'm going to be not flipped out. And this starts. And it's, it just blows like one of these bottles when it's got the fizz. You open up, it's like a little bit of an explosion. Yeah? Yeah, it's just like that. The head's like this, and then it's insane. Somehow, there's too much electricity going into it. It's fucking amped out. I mean, the bulb can't handle it. It's like you have 110 voltage system and 220 is being thrust in there. It's gonna burn the fucking wires. People, you know, just frying out. Yeah. You can't disperse it. Tell the truth. The interest is all getting concentrated because it's about you. If it's not about you, there'll be a dispersal and there'll be health. Yeah. Doesn't it feel better in a way that you don't have the mirrors you have at home? You're just going out of your little room. Doesn't matter. You haven't looked at yourself. You haven't done one of those fucking intense scrutinies, you know, because you don't have this mirrors with the lights and all the magnifying. You're just coming in. Oh yeah, yeah. It's like it's less of a burden, isn't it? You know, stop. You know, yeah. There's a loss of interest in it, and then you're interested in the green of the water, you know, and shit like that. Yeah. Like our friend Nina looked like she was the winner of, you know, Survivor episode, you know, year 1. Her hair was all from this. I mean, she was coming from an experience. She didn't have to try to make it look like she was coming from an experience. She was fucking, her hair was all this. You know, I swam, I made it from the love cave, or whatever, you know, and then as soon as you go to the bathroom. Yeah, because the head doesn't want to lose because it remembers itself through imagery. It just wants to keep seeing reflections, yeah, to verify, to reassure itself, yeah, it's still me. Yeah. All right, well, that's it, I think, eh? Unless any more questions. Have anything else? Go in there, go,
I was
yeah.
going to ask a question. Yeah, so you talked about at the start, if someone's talking, you feel like someone's talking about you in the other room, but then you realise they're not talking about you and you lose interest. So that's the same is true, right? If then like you walk into a room and you feel like quite uncomfortable with like say the energy in the room, would that be the same but just for the
Well,
self,
sometimes that is a projection. So a lot of times the apparatus is projecting, right? It has its own story, and then it projects it as if it's so. Yeah, so people are thinking about you. If you really question them, they probably haven't thought about you in quite a while. Yeah, but you walk in, you look around, they're definitely thinking about me. No, they're not, probably. Yeah. So, I mean, if that should be a basic class in school, don't you think? Just projection, just simple, just knowing that what you're thinking you're seeing is being projected usually. Yeah. So, I mean, that would be helpful, eh? Because it's happening all the time. You see it on the big stage of the politics in America. They're always projecting that someone else is doing what we're doing to a lot of other countries. They go on to a long spiel and they go, don't they know that it's just completely what we're doing, that they're talking about, we're not going to let anyone do what we're doing to everyone. It's just, it seems to be going over the head. It's amazing. I mean, this is why, oh, Jesus Christ, you know, we can't even get clear about directions. I mean, you think you can actually think on an indescribable level? It's, there's some humility in recognizing your pay scale, just makes it easier. Yeah, so. I guess they get paid a lot of money to do that. Yeah, I mean, it's so funny, they can turn on a dime. Which way the wind's blowing, that's the position they take. It's sort of funny. You must be getting paid a lot for that. I mean, to me, that seems like so much burden. I mean, because I remember when I was out there and I'd be with some older woman who had a lot of cocaine and money in a beautiful place in Florida, and I was living there. I thought I had it going on. I was bereft of any sense of value in me. I was fucking like an empty husk, but the head thought it was getting over. Oh man, but I was fucking really empty in a way of the opposite of fullness. It wasn't nice. Yeah, once I came to my senses, I was bereft of a lot of things from those years. Yeah, sucked dry a lot of quality. It took a long time to feel the zest of life again. Seriously, I was like flatlined for a while. The only thing that really saved me was surfing again, because it always brings about a smile, but I was flatlined. I had my ability to live was dried out from all the drugs. Yeah. Luckily, I found a way of life that allowed that to be recuperated from, with the support of a larger community and very good principles for an action figure to follow, so that it could get well again, or at least to a point where it could have viable relation with another person, and you know what I mean? See life from another person's shoes, so to speak. So yeah, so all right, if that's it, we'll get ready. We're gonna go to Gallipoli today. I have no idea what that is, but we're going there. Yeah. And we're going to have a meeting today. I don't think we're going to have a meeting tomorrow because we're going to be going.
Yeah.
I hate to, break the clapping. We'll continue after. We're going to go, yeah. So
So guys,